This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Is the news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Ramesh Piris. First, the headlines. All arrangements are being finalized to conduct the National Posun Festival at the Mihintale and Tantirimale, Anuradhapura. The Prime Minister has emphasized that cases should be filed against the corrupted politicians without considering their status. The government of Switzerland has agreed to support Sri Lanka to overcome present economic crisis. Bangladesh Prime Minister is to provide potatoes to Sri Lanka. Attorney General is to file a petition regarding the Russian Aeroflot aircraft. And in international news, South Korea and US fire missiles in warning to North Korea. And now the local news in detail. All arrangements are being finalized to conduct the National Posun Festival at the Mihintale and Tantirimale, Anuradhapura. The theme of this year is to eradicate hatred. The Posun Week has been declared from 11th of this month to the 17th. A special meeting in this regard will be held at the District Secretariat Office of Anuradhapura at 3 p.m. today. The Posun Committee has made all arrangements to provide water and sanitary facilities to the devotees who will arrive at the Anuradhapura. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe states that the main reason for the economic crisis is not the huge loans obtained in the past, but using those loans for projects that are not economically viable and did not provide any financial benefits. In an exclusive interview with NDTV News in India, the Premier spoke on the present crisis situation in the country and also thanked India for its support during the time of crisis. Explaining views on the proposal to privatize Sri Lanka Airlines, he said there is no other way or alternative amidst the collapse of the economy. The Prime Minister said China provided the big loans, but Sri Lanka decided on the wrong projects to push forward. The Prime Minister also pointed out that the government assets had to be privatized or sold due to the continuous losses incurred by those institutions to the extent that the government could no longer sustain them. He also stated regarding the bribery and corruptions of some parliamentarians, cases should be filed against them without considering their status. A meeting was held recently between the Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms, Videjasa Rajapaksa, and the Ambassador of Switzerland in Sri Lanka, Dominique Vogler, at the Ministry of Justice. The minister briefed the ambassador on the current economic crisis in Sri Lanka and how the economic stability can be achieved through the political stability and that will rise from the proposed 21st Amendment to the Constitution and the passage of the draft bill. The minister said Sri Lanka and Switzerland have a long history of strong economic and political friendship and sought the assistance of the government of Switzerland to help Sri Lanka overcome the current economic crisis. The ambassador said that he was concerned about the economic challenges faced by Sri Lanka at present and would do his utmost to overcome them. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said yesterday that despite being a country with a huge population, Bangladesh may provide potatoes to Sri Lanka during the crisis. The Prime Minister made this remark when Secretary General of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC, Asela Wirakun, paid a courtesy call on her at Janaban. She said Bangladesh has taken steps to grow more foods amid the global food crisis following the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukrainian-Russian war. Sheikh Hasina added that Bangladeshi researchers are making efforts to develop different saline and drought-tolerant varieties of rice. The Tourism Development Authority says that the Sri Lankan Embassy office in Russia has informed them that there is no obstacle for Russian tourists to arrive in Sri Lanka. However, Director General Dhammika Vijayasinghe said the tourism industry has been affected due to the suspension of Aeroflot flights. The Attorney General is due to file a motion in Colombo Commercial High Court to provide facts regarding the Russian Aeroflot aircraft, which was detained due to a court order. And that concludes local news.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi 60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to the main news story. It has been reported that the arrival of traders to purchase and receive vegetables to the Dambulla Economic Centre has been reduced by 80%. The reason for this situation is due to the increasing of prices of vegetables and the prevalent fuel crisis. The prices of many varieties of vegetables have increased more than 500 rupees a kilo. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, the Department of Buddhist Affairs says that the Certificate of Dhamma School Teachers Examination, which is to be held on the 18th of this month, will not be conducted due to the existing situation of the country. The Commissioner General of the Buddhist Affairs, Sunanda Karya Peruma, said that a new date of conducting of the exam will be notified later. And that came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news is next. First, the headlines of the world news. South Korea and US fire missiles in warning to North Korea. UK to send Ukraine M270 multiple launch rocket systems. Nearly 50 killed, hundreds injured in depot blast. Now the world news in detail. South Korea and the US launched 8 missiles today in response to a volley of ballistic missiles fired by North Korea the previous day. It comes as Pyongyang continues to escalate its missile tests. South Korea's President JUN said his government would respond sternly to any provocation from its northern neighbor. He said they will make sure that there isn't a single crack in protecting the lives and property of their people. Speaking at a war memorial event in Seoul, he added that North Korea's nuclear and missile programs are reaching the level of threatening not only peace on the Korean peninsula, but also in Northeast Asia and the world, according to UNEP. The UK is sending its first long-range missiles to Ukraine, the Defense Secretary has said, despite a threat from Russia to the west. Ben Wallace said the M270 multiple launch rocket system will help Ukraine defend itself against Russia. The UK government has not confirmed how many weapons will be sent, but the BBC understands it will be 3 initially. The decision was coordinated with the US, which announced last week it will also supply a rocket system. A fire and a huge explosion have killed at least 49 people and injured hundreds more at a storage depot near the city of Chittagong, Bangladesh. Hundreds of people had arrived to tackle the fire when a number of shipping containers exploded at the site in Sitakonda. It is thought that chemicals were stored in some of the containers. Industrial fires are common in Bangladesh and are often blamed on poor safety regulations. Many of the injured are said to be in a critical condition, and the number of people killed is expected to rise. Once again, the headlines of the world news. South Korea and US fires missiles in warning to North Korea. UK to send Ukraine M270 multiple launch rocket systems. Nearly 50 killed, hundreds injured in depot blast. And that ends world news. Moving on to development news, Sri Lanka Army has come forward to extend support to increase the rice and other small crop production in the country. Accordingly, the island-wide cultivation drive is being carried out with the support of the army camps located in those areas. The main objective of this exercise is to increase the production to avoid any possible food shortage in the future. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports, it's cricket. Former Sri Lankan all-rounder Thilan Samaravira has been named assistant coach of Australia A team, which arrived in Sri Lanka last Saturday for the 2 ODIs and 4 four-day games against Sri Lanka A. It has been reported that Kusal Mendis will act as the wicket-keeper at the T20 tournament that will begin tomorrow to be played against Australia. Madesha Pathirana and Nuwan Tushara will join the Sri Lankan team tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Cricket Institute said that the income from the ticket sales will be handed over to the Sports Ministry. The income will be utilised for the welfare of the people who are affected by the present economic crisis. And that was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, the Port of Colombo has been ranked as the most efficient port in South Asia and the Indian subcontinent, 3rd in the Indian Ocean Rim and 22nd among 370 ports globally in the 2nd edition of the Global Container Port Performance Index 2021, ranking developed by World Bank and S&P Global Market Intelligence and Financial Services. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
In economic news, a delegation of China Asia Economic Development Association Urban Cooperation Committee, led by Chairman Lu Hongjun, called on the Ambassador Dr. Palitha Kohonda last Friday to explore ways and means of increasing Sri Lanka's exports to China. The chairman, Lu Hongjun, was very enthusiastic about the initiative given the long-standing friendly relations between the two countries. He said that the Chinese consumers will warmly welcome Sri Lankan products, especially Ceylon tea, sapphire spices, coconut products, seafood, etc. Those products are already famous around the world, and also they have gained a high reputation in the Chinese market. And that was economic news. The weather report is next. And finally, on to the weather report. The Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters may occur at some places in the Sabaragama province and in Kalutara, Galle and Matara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara district during the evening or night. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. All arrangements are being finalized to conduct the National Poson Festival at the Mihintale and Tantirimale, Anuradhapura. The Prime Minister has emphasized that the cases should be filed against the corrupt politicians without considering their status. The government of Switzerland has agreed to support Sri Lanka to overcome present economic crisis. Bangladesh Prime Minister is to provide potatoes to Sri Lanka. Attorney General is to file a petition regarding the Russian Aeroflot aircraft. And in news overseas, South Korea and US fires missiles in warning to North Korea.